Does that seem to slow down at a certain point?
Yeah, I guess it seems
like and then at a certain point it seems to lose its beat there, which is kind of wrong, isn't it?
Yeah.
I noticed that, and I'm a musician, so as soon as that happens, I go, "Uh-oh, something happened."
I gotta use my tagline. Are we live?
Let me see if yeah, we're live. And
no, I know we're live. I like saying that tagline.
Yeah, are we live? I know where you got that, dude. You're being sarcastic.
Yeah.
Are we live?
At least people pick up on that. I don't think a lot of guys can. Like Hoka would be really confused right now.
Yeah. Sometimes sarcasm is like funny between people. It's like I know where that comes from, and you do, and
yeah.
And I think Jeff would know, and Rick would know, and a lot of the followers have been around for a while. But maybe for the new followers, it's probably hard to understand.
Yeah, like Hoka wouldn't get it, but
no, Hoka wouldn't get it. No,
I don't want to get on Hoka's bad side though. He could dox me and destroy my life.
Yeah. We were talking about bad knowledge earlier, or bad epistemology. I guess we'll talk about bad epistemology before I'm going to get into a rant at a certain point. And but bad epistemology is what I'm going through now too. It's like I often say that I want to write the book, and I think Barbarossa will attest to this, and a lot of the guys that will attest to this. With MGTOW, the book hasn't been wrote, and it has to be. It's something that we're still working on. It's something we're developing and everything. So every one of these podcasts are sort of this little test on an order that I put things in with my very practical, fatherhood. What is fatherhood? Where are the lies in this thing? We start from deconstruction or your existential angst that you had when we come in here. And there's this order that follows in MGTOW, and there's an order that prevails in MGTOW. And no one's told us that. It's all brand new to us. And it comes up in very ununique, very unique ways to us, because everything in life you have to learn. And that's what we were talking about. We had a recent thing with a friend that he has a tendency to go outside of the barriers of conspiracy, right? Looking for new truths. Yeah. And if you're looking outside the barriers of a constructed reality and an observable truth, you're just you're looking in places that it probably doesn't exist. And I know that life's so hard that, and it's so hard to understand sometimes that we tend to have to believe that there's a conspiracy in the government. There's a conspiracy here. It has to be that, and it was something somebody wasn't telling us. What is that the Western philosophy? What do they call that? The Western esoteric philosophies. They take an eclectic. They take an eclectic religions or eclectic thoughts from our history pieces from different eras of time that just so happen to kind of lightly flow over each other, and then they put it together in a big conspiracy of religion.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to see your true oppressors, just look out the window. I mean, you got
if you want to see who's oppressing you, look to the people that are oppressing you, and there's nothing outside of the realm observable reality. If somebody's oppressing you, it's like I said with Arjuna on the field of Dharma. Krishna told Arjuna one thing. He says, "Raise your sword." And Arjuna's like, he didn't really have a sword. He had a bow, but he was using a metaphysical thing. He says, "Your enemy will come to you."
Yeah.
If there is this perceived enemy, don't worry, he's going to come to you. And Arjuna was on two sides of he was in the middle of the battle, waiting for the battle to happen, and he was wondered, which side should I fight on? And Krishna was the chariot driver, and you can get a lot of wisdom from Hinduism, old Hinduism, because it's 1,000 years older than most existentialism. But there's logic in this, and there's logic in that. That's why I kind of cling to that. He says, you can use your mind can wander a million ways to it can go south a million ways to one in this thing, but the observable truth is whoever comes at you, that's going to be your enemy. And that's observable, and that's real in this world. And that's where we have to live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they want to blame it on a certain ethnic group or... Yeah,
it's a certain ethnic group. It's some mysterious cult of people of elite that's running the world. No, that's hard to believe.
They have this monitor room to see everything that you're doing via satellite, or come on, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The all-seeing eye or whatever.
The all-seeing eye.
They just want to get in your head. They want to steal your consciousness and your soul, and
there are no people that.
Just live your life. Just live your life. I mean, the big part about I always talk about how the people kind of running things or rich, or like they don't want you to have any fun. They want you to always have them in your head, and you have to get away from that. Just enjoy your life and do your own thing. Because a lot of it is that's part of the fantasy fictional world we talk about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You have to make up things to, and then that's the problem. They start making up things to live in that world, and maybe that's a better place within their. And I don't even know what you would call this within that psyche that they live in. It makes it easy to live in because you could just make up evidence of this, evidence of that, evidence that you're right. And some of the stuff gets very crazy, and you have to watch. We just had that. We just had another shooting in Colorado, and that guy was. He thought that people were following him. I mean, he was making up, and that comes from small little segments of truth. It probably didn't happen overnight, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He gave himself small little reasons. People, I seen a shadow. I seen this guy twice a day, and it was really weird that I seen him. So people must be following. And then little by little, he brought himself into this realm where he thought that people were following, that there was a conspiracy against him, that he was so important in this world that that all the systems would conspire against him.
Yeah. Paranoia. Yeah,
the paranoia. And I do think it's in Boulder, Colorado, pot smoking is relevant, or pot smoking is legal in that in that state, and a lot of people smoke pot in that state. And I think he's probably one of those people that found out that smoking pot all the time makes you really paranoid. And doesn't
you ever tried pot? It's amazing. I've never tried it.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not the miracle cure to every disease like they say it is.
I smelled it. I mean, because when I go to the casino, there's always a group of guys there that, they go in and out of their cars, and you can just smell it. Yeah,
you can smell it when they open it up. I get that all the time when I go up to
It's no respect. I mean, for the community. I mean, it's like, you're gonna just smoke it at your house, and you don't have to puff it out in the community. It's just,
you don't have to let it out into.
I never liked it, and these people that they might disagree and say, "Oh, it's good for you," and there's it's a medical purposes or this and that, but the bottom line, I think that's a very toxic substance that you're putting in your body. I don't agree with it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Was he on pot? This guy was smoking a lot of marijuana. The guy that did the shooting.
I think he was very paranoid, and it's probable that in a state that you're allowed to smoke marijuana freely, it's probable that he was paranoid from an illicit drug.
Yeah.
Mostly, he was having mental health crises.
Sure.
And a crisis, and
Yeah.
that's obvious. And now everybody can swoop in and kind of look at this thing, and they should have been taken care of. There was obvious signs of mental health in the guy's life, but of a shortage of mental health, or
Yeah.
he was angry, and he often went off. He was one of those IUD males that we talk about, the explosive, intermittent explosive disorder that's in a lot of the younger kids that you see. He was one of those guys that would go off, that intermittent explosive disorder.
Emo. He's an emo.
Yeah, it's not really emo. It's just it's like it says, they just go off for no reason at all. When they can't cope with the situation, or a disappointment comes in their life, they just explode.
Sure. Well, like Bill Hicks, that comedian, said he should have had a fruit cup instead. Like relax and have a fruit cup.
Yeah, that's why they relax and give the man a pudding cup.
Yeah, give me a pudding cup. Have some. Yeah, exactly. Go to have a whatever you can. That's why. Yeah, just find something that Yeah, don't have to be so stressed out all the time.
Yeah, I remember about 4 years ago when we had all those tards coming through MGTOW, and I used to tell them, just give them pudding cups.
Yeah.
That was a metaphysical thing for just put their mind at ease, that we're not. Give them their pudding cup and let them suck on the pudding cup, or the pudding pop, or whatever that is, the squeezable packages. I don't care which one they eat, but that's what you could do with some people. Well, that's what you have to do with some people, and yeah. So the title I wrote up was MGTOW: A Dissent from Chivalry. I was looking at the refusal of fatherhood, and the refusal of fatherhood in 1974, I think it was, with I can't remember the case that came up. And at the end of the case, the judge said something interesting. He said, if chivalry's not dead, then sir, you have most certainly impaled it. And he defended chivalry at that point. He says, you're going to be a father. We're going to force fatherhood on you. And that's always one of my issues, forced fatherhood. Even though we can't have babies, and we don't really have a lot to do with that process as we think we do. We have it's just, you're not having a baby, she is, and that's the truth, and it's her baby, it's not yours. Don't get all emotionally tied up in that, because she will leave with it, and the judge will agree, because there's a total difference between motherhood and what they call fatherhood is two different things. But what do we do here at MGTOW? What's the thing that we do? We come into MGTOW, we start realizing that there's other truths in this world. We have our existential angst and everything. And then there's that action moment. What is that action? And I think it's important for a lot of MGTOWs to know that when they get to that stage, that what's next stage? Well, what's next is a dissent from chivalry.
Mm-hmm.
Your dissent. Dissent is a very specific word, dissent, too. It's not a dissent occurs when a person disagrees in a public way with a popular opinion or position maintained by authority. It's a political dissent. In MGTOW's case, we're having a gender dynamics dissent, where we're dissenting from what? There's laws in our government that are being pushed on men to make them act in a chivalrous way so they can make us pretty much into slaves. So we're dissenting from slavery.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens when you do that? What happens? What are the symptoms of let's talk about, like, another symptom is like a whistleblower, right? He's dissenting from the powers that be within the structure that he's in, because he knows he's right about something. And to do the right thing, he's going to have to do the wrong thing. And that's kind of the position MGTOW's in. To do the right thing, we're going to have to voice up. We're going to have to say it. But the people it's like telling the boss that is stealing from the company that he's stealing from the company, and he's the only one to tell. It's like, what do you think's going to happen there? Nothing's going to happen. He's just going to laugh at you or fire you. You're having some moral outrage, but it takes enormous moral courage to do this MGTOW thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It takes, critical thinking skills, but then that's only part of it, because then it's taking the action that requires courage, because you're going to lose friends and,
right. You're going to lose friends and people on the internet, and especially around, you're trying to present your case logically. We're trying to stick in with the truth. We're trying to present our case logically. And I know there's this paradox that's the sort of the MGTOW paradox that comes with burden. There's going to be a burden, or there's going to be harm by saying what we say. And I receive this all the time when I do my fatherhood. There's no such thing as fatherhood. Now the trad cucks, they go nuts, don't they?
Yeah, I think they just lack critical thinking skills. I think, how else can you really put it? They're just brainwashed. They haven't gotten away from their
right. There's no
their upbringing. They just have I grew up in as traditional of a conservative family as you can have, and
right.
I had 9, 10 aunts and uncles, and all of them, were still married, except for one, and then so that's as traditional conservative as you get, right? And but I was able to kind of see through that and use my thinking skills to overcome that and go MGTOW. And I don't think these guys have done the work to they've kind of just stomped on their feet and said, no, we want women to go back to their slave, this and that. Yeah, but they haven't done any of the interest, but they're lacking critical thinking skills, and I hate to call people out, but they know who they are. They just they're stuck in their ways. They're not really seeing the big picture.
Yeah, there's one certainty to what I'm saying, and everything is I'm acting on a moral principle that is a right one, and it's a reliable truth, and it's justifiable. And it makes me want to dissent from traditional conservatism and everything, and tell them they're not right, and they're very much wrong about how they're thinking, and men aren't slavery. That's what makes it right. Men shouldn't volunteer for that slavery and should never be put in. It should be a voluntary. But if you want to be a mentor figure and a father, or if you can even call it that, but we have to redefine father at that point. If you want to be someone who cares about children and their spouse, and mentor those children, and it doesn't become a responsibility, it should be rewarded as altruism. But most of the time, it's when I read, I get these things sent to me every day. They're by they're the arguments that go on in this community. It's a health and human service community that's arguing how to get males to be better fathers. But the argument is always, well, we have to force them into be better fathers. And the next thing that comes along is there's this traditionalism. I tell you this before. The traditional demands loyalty to the group, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's why. You're under. I think a lot of my family. I look back on the aunts and uncles I had. We're always going to each other's houses for birthday parties and all these different, Easter and Christmas and all these. It's like it was like a sense of accountability. It's like you almost you're shamed into being yourself and being an individual, because you're discouraged from you're discouraged from going outside of the boundaries that are. In that traditional conservative,
right? There's that traditionalism, and you have to show your loyalty to the group, because we know traditionalism that it's considered a moral function of the group is to show loyalty to the group, so everybody feels like they're bound better, tighter, and everything if we're all on the same page. But it's what happens when you become a MGTOW is you're showing dissent. So there's going to be backlash. There's going to be these things that they don't see as you're disloyal. They're going to see it as disloyalty to the group, and that's when it becomes. It gives them permission to, you can be ostracized, and most of the time you will be ostracized from the group and everything. But in that thing, what we are showing loyalty to is we're showing loyalty to the truth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree with that. Because there is a pressure, to, like, at least in my family, there was, like there. I don't think any of so none of the females. So it's interesting. My father had there were 5 sisters, right? And none of them. The first one. So one of them, she just 25 years of marriage. She's the first one to get a divorce. She's going to get a divorce, and she was one of these like, way like. I don't know how to describe her, but she's really intelligent, the most educated one, whatever, right? So the other 4 were all very traditional, but the point I'm trying to make, there was a pressure. There was pressure on them to never kind of get away from their husbands, right?
Right. Yeah. The divorce was seen as
it was like a shame. They're like almost shamed.
But most of the time, the divorce is seen as we see that the man automatically assumes responsibility for that too. There must have been something he did wrong within the group. Wasn't that the way it flowed? That was Hobbes's family. Once she decided, and all of a sudden the group manifests. That's when the group manifests that these ideas that the females can be polygamous. And that's the moral chains I talk about. You can see these things in the group, and I've witnessed it in my family, and you probably witnessed it in yours. So who got ostracized?
Well, the person that's the person that's going against the group, the group think.
Well, yeah, in the actual group, the sister came around for. She continued to come around for family events, but the male wasn't, was he? Who was the male? Who discontinued coming around for family events?
It was the person that.
It was the male.
Right.
He was ostracized from the group. He was chosen for the ostrich. But did anybody ever bring up the violations of loyalty in that, or did they justify it? That's where the justification comes in. They justified it after that, didn't they?
Yeah.
It always goes the same way in every family. I've seen it with my family, and my sister was the first one to actually get a divorce, and she was never ostracized from it. And even when she took the polygamy of taking a new husband or boyfriend, that's polygamy, and that was accepted in this group that was very traditional and didn't have to go through. And it's funny how those things manifest, isn't it? Into, okay, now we have this situation, so the group philosophy changes to, as long as you're a female, and this is what I talk about all the time, the chains of morality will be extended to you, and you can act in a polygamous manner, and you can still not have to suffer any social consequences to it.
Yeah, well, you get I guess I don't know if penalize is the right word, but yeah, they want to attack your character and your they think there's something wrong with you.
Yeah,
like being an individual is looked down upon. Right? It's like if you're going against the grain, as an individual, you're going to be like you said, you're going to be. You're not going to be looked favorably upon, and
Right.
I'm at that point now. I don't, it should get to the point where you don't care about that. And
Right. Now,
you can please everybody anyway. So who cares? You're not going to please everyone. So you got to please yourself, right? That's
you have to please yourself. Now, even
song. Yeah. He talks
now
about
when it was reversed and the genders, did you have someone in your family that the genders were first and the male had gone through a divorce and the family was closer to that male? He still got ostracized.
Yeah.
And so we talk about these family bonds and everything, but it was more of a social bond that was broke. And he was always, and then he was considered to be less, right? He was like, oh, he got a divorce. His wife left him, fucked around on him. There must be something wrong with him. And that's what we always say. There must be something wrong with you. That's society shaming the male. There must be something wrong with you. If you're not winning enough, there must be something wrong with you. If your wife left you, there must be something wrong with you. It's easy to. That's just world fallacy. You must have did something to the gods.
Yeah. You reap what you sow. You reaped what you sowed. You must have. And then this is where these religions are crazy too, because they'll say stuff like, "Oh, it's probably your thoughts. Your thoughts are sin." That's how crazy and delusional they are.
Yeah, that's if you can't. We started with that topic. If you can't observably notice any defects in them, it must be their thoughts.
Right.
It must be something outside the realms of reality.
Right. They just create this craziness. Yeah, I can't believe I was a Christian for so long. I'm so embarrassed. It's like, and I feel like I wasted. I wasn't really following it as closely the last probably 10 years, but like the first 10 years I was in it, I was leading these Bible studies and stuff. It's like so embarrassing. And it's like I look back and it's like I can't believe how delusional I was to believe this garbage. It took away a lot of years of good living, for myself, because I wasn't I was believing this fantasy fictional thing. And it's just so many different, we talk about the crazy stories in the Bible, but yeah, just stuff like that too. Like how they would say, like, if you have a bad thought, that's a sin. Oh, you're sinning right there, so anyway, I don't want to go on about religion, but yeah, they're just ways to get you to kind of conform to, this,
Did you see how we landed that?
What's that? No, I don't, yeah.
From the topic backwards, and then we went through that in the family situation and landed it back on the topic. And it kind of, the MGTOW philosophy always, when you start applying the MGTOW philosophy correctly, it will solve the problems. It will give you a better order, and that's what I was looking for when I was talking about the order of MGTOW. There's an order that I always talk in, that I'm trying to figure out even to this day myself, because it's not a new, it's a new philosophy. And if we just start applying that in the order that it's supposed to be applied, then most problems, and you'll start seeing most problems will work out right in front of you. And it makes things a lot easier. And that's why it's important. I really want to settle in one of these months coming up and just start writing, because I've been going through that order in my head. It's like, and I said, Barbarossa probably ran into this problem too. He's supposed to write this book and he got a lot of money to do it. Yeah. But when approached with that order of MGTOW and how to determine what order that book is, because that's going to determine the coherence of the book, whether it's going to be readable, whether it's not going to be readable. That's a very difficult order, isn't it? Because we're still kind of plugging our way through this.
Yeah. I think the thing is trusting yourself. I think that's the thing Jeff and I always focus on, because nobody knows yourself better than you, right? So I think when you get to that point where you're trusting yourself and you're not considering other people's opinions as much, I think that you're heading in the right direction. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You have to. Well, we do that deconstruction. We're going to do that existential angst thing where we're looking at people and we're looking at what they're saying, and we're looking, is this person telling me the truth? We have to dissect these things, and that's a difficult thing to do at a moment's notice too. But you always notice there's something funny about these. Something you always, when someone's trying to tell you something that's and even as children when we're growing up and teenagers when we were told about this thing, didn't you just get that idea, I smell a rat?
Yeah.
There was always this idea that, okay, I know what you're saying with traditionalism, I know this is the way it's supposed to work, but I smell a rat here. There's something that's just I can't put my finger on, but I know it's not the truth. And that's what we run into when we run into all this traditional conservative programming. I know it's not the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. You just kind of like that guy with the flowers, you know, when I was about the flower, I like, this is really weird. You're sitting
right up to it, just give it. You got a whole bouquet of them.
Yeah, you're sitting in the hallway with this flower. You just spent your money. You know, it probably cost them $5, whatever. But
yeah,
you're sitting like a little like that's not a manly thing to do. You're like it's like you're like a. I mean, I don't want to make fun of people, but that's not a really manly thing to do. Sit, you're holding onto a rose, ready to give it to this girl.
Like, yeah.
So yeah, so that's like a truth right there. Like that, I just like
Now, do they still have flower girls? I don't see too many flower girls out
there. Yeah, they come around here, and
they come around. The flower girls come on because I had a friend. She used to be a flower girl. She was rather attractive too.
Yeah,
and, she used to do that for a living. She would go and get like, she'd go get like 6, 7, up to 12 dozen. It depends on which day. Friday, she always got like 12 dozen roses and everything. And she would just drive around from bar to bar or to where she used to go, like bowling alleys, bars, places. Like she'd look for school events where if she could, and that's what that was. The girls came in with the roses, and you can buy these roses. And the school permitted these people to come in and sell their roses for the girls on Valentine's Day. And but around here, man, I don't see too many flower girls anymore. And that used to be kind of common.
You know, I was, you know, that whole thing about these guys that get on their knees and will you marry me? And
yeah,
like there's another example of something that just didn't feel right. Like for me, like it's just that's like a truth thing. It's like why are you getting on your knee? And it's like so that's another one. It kind of pops up of how it's just not a it doesn't seem right. You know, you're going to sacrifice, and and then another thing too is like you hear these people. I gave my life to JC. You know, he's my Lord and Savior, and like that whole thing didn't seem right when I've heard people say it, and like that's another truth that kind of should stick out. You know, like he's not real. You know what I mean? Like so. Certain things, those truths come out.
No, I'm not sure where they're getting on your knees. I thought that was a post-Germanic, Polish post, a Germanic, what do they call that? An Anglo-Germanic tradition to show. I can't remember what that was about, but I'll look it up someday. And
okay, that was a traditional thing from Poland.
Yeah, it's a post Catholicism or religion coming to before they had old gods. Their old gods rode in and the Germanic, with the language and everything was still forming in that area. And then these traditions came in, and one of the traditions was there was a couple of them that kind of flowed down into what we do today, and the getting on your knees with like the show. It's like that. Oh God, it's so
it's really cringy to me. I mean, I don't know, whatever. I know some people that they were married, they did it because
a flower in your mouth. Or something.
And they're just asking like, oh, I got to ask her father to marry me. I never got married, so I never had to do that. But those are rituals that helped me because I didn't even feel I would have never felt comfortable doing those things.
You got that flower in your mouth here.
Yeah. Well, another one that used to bother me too is these married guys are giving guys with long-term relationships. I have to check with my wife or check with my girlfriend before I can. Like that really used to irk me. Like even before I was I used to really bother. Yeah, you gotta check in with her. And like, what are you, like a freaking puppet? Like, what are you, an idiot? Like, I lost so much respect for guys. I lose respect for guys that do those things.
I used to say that to me all the time. Joe, we want to go out. You're gonna check in with the boss, see if that's okay. and I'll be like, yeah, I got to check in with the boss. And yeah, that was one of the things that you lose that the autonomy to make your decisions on your own. Everything has to be. She may have some plans or some wishes that trump yours.
Yeah, we got a real live one in the chat there.
Oh, the real. Oh, that's the same. I looked and I seen when I did the research on him after the video, the last 3 videos. He was Luigi, and then he was the next guy, and then now he's that guy. So he keeps changing the name.
But I tell you, at least I have some respect for that guy, because at least he just has an opinion on something. He's not wishy-washy. Like he's he's a total nut job, but at least he's like stands by his beliefs, and he doesn't, And I have more respect for him than these wishy-washy, guys that are playing both sides of the middle or whatever,
No, he really believes that. He believes.
Yeah. I can respect him for that. I don't agree with a word he says, but I can respect it.
He says that since as we know, the function of a woman is to serve. Go tell the women that. See how good that goes over.
Well, and if he's going to follow that, you're not going to get a very attractive woman.
Well, that's the trade-off in slavery that I was talking about. Well, she may volunteer for that to serve and get pregnant and cook dinners and everything, but with that comes a responsibility that that's the traditional conservative trade-off, that you're going to go to work, you're going to pay the bills, you're going to be that dude, and if that ever ends or you get sick, she will dispose of you, and that's where the disposable male comes.
Right, that's right. You're making assumptions that like you're going to be this healthy person till you're 90 or whatever. Yeah. You're never going to lose your job. You're always going to have a ton of money, and everything's going to go smooth. And that's just not how life is. We're here to tell you that's not how life is.
No, as much as me and you have tried to succeed in our lives and did everything, I did everything I was supposed to do. Yeah. Success was never on the table for me. I always say they wouldn't let me in their group.
Yeah.
Like I could get close. I mean, when I owned the bar and I was just about to, I'm okay, I'm going to get 2 of these, and now I'm going to get 3, and then I'm going to be rich, and I'm going to do this. But somehow that door got slammed, and it was kind of surprising that they even let me go that far. It's like, and there's certain moral codes that you have to adhere to too. With that, you had to be married. Your wife has to be impeccably moral. Your wife, you will be held responsible for all your wife's actions. And that's when everything went down for me, is when they started holding me morally responsible for her actions.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, right. There's something right. It's like it's your fault that she's acting like a whore.
It's my fault.
Or even your kid's fault. Your kid's a nut because of you. It's your fault.
It's everything's your fault as a male. But that's the traditional conservative thing. Everything's the male's fault. There's something you did, and you weren't good enough, and then that's how they will judge you, and that's how you will get through that door. But and then that's the gatekeeping involved in it, isn't it? I mean, you wonder who these gatekeepers are, to wealth and
it's your church. It's right down the road. Like you look outside, it's your church. It's your institutions. They're the gatekeepers. They're right in front of you.
Well, and I don't think it's actually the church in America anymore. I think it's the what has replaced the religious unions are the civil unions, and the government controls the unions. Them civil unions, you have to go to your government. You're not married until you go to your government and sign the paperwork.
Yeah.
And they control all that. And then they will expect, if you want to move up in the community, it's like you have to have certain, that's why 99% of Congress and Senate all have been married or married. There's certain rules you have to observe that they're traditional conservative rules. And the funny part is when I look at these so-called progressives, even Joe Biden is the most conservative person I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
You might as well have elected a Republican. I mean, Joe Biden is the closest thing to a tradcon that there is, according to MGTOW's definition.
Mm-hmm.
And so was Trump. He was, he had to be married. He had to abide by those rules. You can flirt the rules with the rules once in a while, but yeah, there has to be a that mask, that fakeness, that illusion of you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And sometimes that doesn't even work out because, like I said, I did everything the right way. Was I inducted to the group of millionaires, billionaires?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, I was ostracized from the group as soon as my significant other started acting like a whore.
Yeah.
It doesn't, which generally doesn't reflect on my character. That's equivocation. That's what do they call that? That's I can't remember what that's called. The fallacy in that.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that is in your society. It's in your group. It's in the more of those check boxes. Like you go to the local community college and you do that, and you get married, and then you introduce yourself to the judges and that situation, and there's these gatekeepers everywhere. You don't have to look too far in your community to realize who the gatekeepers are. And one of those people decide that they don't like you or you're not following them rules, you'll have a hard your process to moving up is going to be harder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you gotta, again, the critical thinking skills. It's hard to, I remember when I was in college in my early, late teens, early 20s, they talked about critical thinking skills, and then
now we look at.
I really didn't understand what they meant. I can't really understand because the public
very difficult. That's why that's an upper level course, is because it's very difficult to think that way all the time.
Yeah.
Most people don't, and most people will never. I still struggle with, like I say, I want to put together the order of the book, and I still struggle with those critical thinking skills. How does this order? How does this look? Will it be cohesive when you go from one page to the next, to the next, to the next, one idea to the next? Like I was trying to do here, the descent from chivalry to loyalty, truth to the truth. It's like, how would you write that chapter? And it has to land. And I think we proved earlier, within the first 15 minutes or so, we brought it out and we landed it back so I could see it did work. There was an honesty in what we said, and there wasn't that feeling like something's wrong with that that idea.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that really where MGTOW's off. I just can't think of it. I mean,
yeah. Once you start applying it to your life in the right way, the MGTOW for some people, those level 1, level 2s is, I don't think that's MGTOW in it. I don't think they're just MGTOW in name only because it's convenient. Either it's the catharticism of misogyny. There's misogyny is cathartic. See that? The horn's going off again.
Oh, that's MGTOW values. He's learning everyone in Cambodia that you're talking shit.
Yep, he just did it again. Every time I go on, say that every single time. I wonder if he listens.
Oh, really? So that's not all day that hasn't been on. All of a sudden it goes on.
I go on the air, and all of a sudden he's next door with he's setting off his alarm on his car. He does that.
Do you really think he's doing that on purpose? He might be. He might know your channel, and then
yeah, maybe, yeah.
He might know that you have a channel, and then he does it on purpose.
And he disagrees with my message, so he does that on purpose. Yeah, that's sort of a community thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that he knows.
Interesting.
Yeah, he knows me, and he knows the guy that used to live here, and they probably talked about like my MGTOW attitude, and
they don't get it. They just don't follow.
They don't get it. Yeah.
They don't even. They can't. Yeah, again, they don't have the critical thing. It's hard. It's hard to develop. I mean, because like I said, when I was a late teenager and early, even after high school, they don't public schools. They don't. You're talking about 1% of the students or less have critical thinking skills. The other 99% are just brainwashing.
Right, they're just brainwashed with the conservative.
Yeah, and even through college,
it's a cop out. It becomes so easy just to get in line. You're
rewarded for that. You're rewarded
for it because it's always you're the good slave now. You're just he's a dependable slave. He's a good slave. He's a reliable slave, and he's going to do exactly what we want. And we talked about that, putting yourself in that. You're dissenting from this thing is what you're doing, and that's the action that MGTOWs are taking. You dissent from that chivalry. You're no longer that thing that believes that chivalry is a real thing, and you should have to do that. And for what reason? What common good does it do men? No, it doesn't do no common good. It just makes you fall in line. Fall in line to what? If there's this perceived line that you have to fall into, who started this line and where does this line go and who's running this line? That's a queuing line. In any queuing order, there's a desk and there's an assembly.
Yeah, I remember when I was going to college as my freshman year, I was talking to one of the seniors and he was, they were trying to recruit me to join their fraternity. And
yeah.
And we were going through all my professors and he was telling me what to write in all the papers, like he was telling me like what she wanted to, not just her, but like any of the professors, what they wanted to hear.
Isn't that weird when they go through?
Yeah, it was really weird. I was like, what? Like he's trying to help me because he wanted me to get good grades or whatever, but it was really odd because it's like, wow, is this the point of college? I just have to agree. You want to just go to school just to agree with the professor to get good grades, but I guarantee you, like that's what over 90% of students are doing.
Right. Yeah, and it's funny that most courses or lectures that I listen to now, they're all very subjective. They flow from one end to the other, and when you start talking about like morality issues, which ethics or something, they'll say, is it ethical sometimes to lie? And it will give out the Machiavellian things on ethics. I'll do my usually do my all lies come from one thing. What would I do for these people I love? Morals are veering from moral ethics and everything, but it's very subjective. If like I say, when I used to, my mother would ask when she was dying, she was asking about my brother. My brother was in prison, so I tell him, "Oh, he's fine. He's doing great. He lives in Tennessee. Mom, you should see how good he's doing." And it was a total lie.
Yeah,
but I did it so it wouldn't cause her stress. So. Right. In that case, lying was okay. So there's a subjectivism. What I'm trying to get at in all courses that we do, not pretty much except for mathematics and everything. Anytime you start doing business courses with ethics, or unless it's an accounting thing or mathematics, because that's deductive reasoning. There's anytime you get into this inductive reasoning, which is most of schooling, right? Most of school is this inductive subjectivity where it can flow a little bit this way and flow back, and there's things to discuss, but all of a sudden you got this professor telling you this is the way you're going to think, and you'll get a better grade if you think this way.
Right. That's disgusting. It really is.
And it's no longer, it's like, oh, I don't get to make up my mind on this, do I? Right. I lose my autonomy.
It's just terrible.
Yeah,
It happens a lot.
I lose my intellectual autonomy because I have to think the same way you do. And it's like, oh, that's great. And that's one of the things that always bothered me in school when I do it.
Right.
It's probably why I just do lectures and I don't really ask for their qualification anymore. It's like
I've got professors that have gone to Ivy League schools and this and that and whatever.
And that will change.
I'm not impressed by it anymore. I'm not impressed by any of that stuff.
Yeah, like if you're going to say, like we talked about last week, if you're going to Excelsior or Regent College, the Christian college or Excelsior,
right,
their ideas of morality would change.
Right.
And their ideas, the subjectivity of, say, if you're doing a morals or ethics course, would change to their morals and ethics. What would become morally ethic to them is group loyalty.
Right.
And they'd probably veer away from, well, Kant would say it would, they probably wouldn't even, they would bring up, Kant believed it was never ethically okay to lie. Even if it would cause harm to others, you should still tell the truth. Now, Plato would always argue for the subjectivity in that, and Heraclides would always argue for there's a very subjectable thing. It's like, but no, when you start thinking about that kind of education compared, like the City College, if you went to New York City College there up by your area, what it is, not City College, New York State College, the course there would be very much different than it is in Regent College.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Wouldn't be that much better though.
Yeah, they would probably put a large emphasis on loyalty to the group.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, they don't value critical. They don't value critical. When it comes down to it, they don't value critical thinking skills in the universities. They just value group loyalty, and that's what they do. That's what they value. And
Right.
if you go against them, you're seeing
the cohesion of group loyalty. It's like you have to think that way, and that's already predetermined the way you're going to think, and that's traditionalism. It's like that's how you're going to think, and if you hear that, that's seen as a violation of. We talked about that, and about how they will tradition. If you present these objectable facts, they will conservatively balk back to that because I can't hear from what the group thinks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We get that in MGTOW. We see it with these guys. He believes that the little lady should be in the kitchen and cooking her some pot pies. And
that's what Luigi likes. He likes the woman slave.
You get the.
But she's going to be at least 200 plus pounds, Luigi. You know that.
Yeah. Yeah, she'd be fat and pregnant and in the kitchen popping out those babies. Once in a while, you just walk in the house and it's like, there's a baby laying on the floor. Another one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I lost that this morning. I'm sorry. I'll pick it up.
Yeah.
It's like, but in the trade-off, he gets sex at night, which he has to work all day and stress himself out for that. And there's families are very stressful too. I know I had a family. You become you become the provider for the family. You're now providing for four people, which I was, and that's a very stressful situation. Never did I miss an hour of work. Never did I miss an hour of overtime. I mean, that pager was on my side. If that thing started ringing and I had a job to go do, I had to leave whatever I was doing. And I remember several times sitting at dinner at the Brown Derby, for instance, one night with my father. I wanted to spend some time with my father. That he was dying at that time, and the whole family was there. And that pager went off, and I was shit. I gotta go.
Jeez, pagers always suck, huh?
Yeah, I mean, then it's like, okay, and it's not like you can say no when you have that kind of responsibility. It's like, it's not just a responsibility to work, then it's a responsibility to your family. I have to take this overtime. I have to go make this money. I have to, and people are relying on me from the job to and that's a very stressful situation. I mean, I walk in that shop and you got a couple million BTU furnace running, heating steel and hot salt, and those things are down, and you walk in and you're going to fix this. That's you got to fix it. And people rely on you because Monday morning is going to come and you're going to have all the guys walking through the door and they want to make products. They want to make steel. And it's got to be right. So there's a lot of responsibility and that's, but you get that, by doing all those right, you did the family, and with that was more stress and more stress and more stress. And it's like, it becomes very stressful.
So. It's just funny because I have an uncle that's like, he's pretty much a gangster. He like does whatever he wants. He's loaded. He's like, it's like but the family like thinks he's weird, and they're like, he never married, and he's Italian. Yeah, he never married. He never married. He wasted life. He never married. In a family. Meanwhile, he just does whatever he wants. He's been retired for like 10 years.
Hey,
Yeah, he's young. He's like in his 50s. Like he's been retired like 10 years. He's loaded. He he buys everything cash. Like he's got a nice truck. He's got like a Lincoln, and he's got like a Corvette, and he's got and they're looking at him like there's something wrong with him. And I'm just seeing a guy who's a total stud, and
yeah, I could just see the old man saying, he might have a little sugar in his britches. He's a little sweet boy.
Yeah. And it's like so because I ran into someone that grew up in the same neighborhood as him, and and she goes, "Oh, your uncle, did he ever get married?" Like it's like that's that's how they're judging him. Is that It's like, wow, are you serious? The guy is I'm bragging on my uncle, but the guy's like he's a handyman. He can like fix anything in the house. He can do car mechanical work. He can fix computers. He can fix he's like an electrical genius pretty much. The guy is like off the charts, like super intelligent, right? And the thing is, like, everyone in that town goes to him when all these Italian wops, they all go to him when they need something done, like fixed or whatever. You name it, air conditioner, whatever. He's the guy that does it. And and yet these women they look at him as like odd, like he's odd because he never got married.
Right.
And it's just, I don't know, really, and the older I get, the more I really look up to him more. I kind of wish I had him as more of a role model.
Right. Yeah.
Because he hit a home run in life. Yeah, he has like no stress. He just gets up. He's up on, does whatever he wants, and and the guy was, he's an engineer. So he made some money, and I call him a gangster, but to me, he's like a gangster. But the thing is, I didn't learn. So I was so caught up in that traditional conservative ideology growing up that I kind of just dismissed them, and that was I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, that's what and it was pretty much the community, and when they ask you that question, is he married yet? What are they really saying when they say, is he married? Can we let him around yet?
Yeah.
That's what they're saying. That's the gatekeeping that goes along with it. And the gatekeeping comes from every single person out there is I'd like to share, or the baker, if the baker or is your cousin married yet? It's like,
yeah,
share what I know with him, but I can't trust him because he's not married.
Yeah. They view us as like, meanwhile, I know deep down inside they're jealous of us. I think.
Yeah. Well, they should do that. Like, oh, these boys are, these men are. They're happy and they're successful. What more do you want?
Right.
But no. But even in that, can you imagine that gatekeeping when you get on a higher level say he's in his community around people like himself where everybody's doing well and they want to invite him in, but the big question still is he married yet?
Yeah.
You can't invite him into the higher riches until we know that he's married. That's why I say there's the Illuminati, and it's the function of society. It's
right. Yeah, he's amazing. He's an amazing person. Like the more because like he had to overcome all that traditional conservative pressure himself. He overcame it himself.
Yeah, and he probably doesn't. Either he has the ability to put it away, or he's MGTOW, or he's just kind of the silent MGTOW. He has the ability to put it away, or he just doesn't care about it. And there's a lot of people out there just like me and you and the ASAC. I just don't care about it that much. It's not something that I put a huge emphasis on. And
no,
I went and did it 2 or 3 more times.
I know these guys crack me up. I feel bad. I got a friend who's been married twice, in 17 years.
Yeah, but with your dissent, and that's what we do. We make that decision, the dissent from the chivalry. We don't suffer like that anymore. I'm not laying my jacket down so a girl can walk over it, so her feet don't get wet. I don't do those things, and I don't hold the doors, and we sometimes describe it like that, but there's more social functions to it. I'm not getting married. I'm not gonna, take in a little lady, take care of her, and fill her nights full of passion.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm, Camus said it very well. He's like Beauvoir and Satar wanted them to, do her, and he's like, well, and that's what one of the things that he said he says, that's not what I am.
Yeah.
He says, I don't do I'm not that. I'm not. And he was a bachelor himself, even though he was married. He spent very little time in that marriage. He had all kinds of girlfriends and everything. And he says, that's not what I am. That's not what I do.
Mm-hmm.
He says, I'm here I'm here for myself. I'm here for, figure that out yourself. And he was veering at that time. He was probably considered very libertine in his but I like the way he put it. He says, that's not what I am. And you're not allowed to say that it's like, but it's a very good explanation to, it's very people that, I explain it very scientifically. It's like the default position of, is asexuality. You're not supposed to be thinking about that all the time. If you are, then You're probably sick.
Yeah.
You're addicted. You're showing addiction. And I would figure that after a while, our society and the norms in our society would pick up on that fact that these men, these traditional conservatives, are addicted. They have those addictive personalities.
Yeah.
These aren't good people.
No, you can't trust them because they'll do anything for their family, and that's very dangerous.
That's why they're so severely.
Well, that's why. Yeah, and that's why. Like these. I've been listening to a lot of the Italian mafia guys, and they're psychopaths. They're sociopaths.
They're psychopaths.
Because like this guy, a gas pipe Casso, he's a real nutcase down in the city. I think he just passed away, but this guy's he's talking about like the stuff he did, and like I think he was like I don't know, I get like all these murders and stuff, and he justifies it because it's like, well, it's like it's for his family. It's like, he's like,
family.
Yeah, but he didn't care about the other guy's family. The guy that he killed.
He didn't care about the other guy's family. Yeah, or that's the gang situation. I wanted to bring that up sooner or later. The gang situation where the gang becomes the family, and I did it for the family, and then now justify almost anything.
And then he's like doing this. He was talking to Ed Bradley on 60 Minutes, and he's like crying when he's thinking, "I really miss my family." Really miss my family.
That's the only thing. Yeah, that's the only thing in his life.
Yeah. And this WAP, I can call him a WAP because I'm Italian, but
yeah, you can call him WAP because you're Italian.
Yeah, this freaking greaseball was making like $5 million a year, like just in the garment district. Like he ran like the garment district. Like that's just one little racket he had, and he was making $5. How much money you freaking need for your family, buddy? It's like, are you kidding me? Why don't you just take the money and retire? Like after a year, like you don't need all that. I mean, you just need more money. Like you said, they're very dangerous people and they're like mentally ill.
They're mentally ill, and that should be. You'd figure academically, as us philosophers and sociologists figure, that should be something that should be figuring into the norms of society. See, when we look at a MGTOW, there's something off there, but they're dissenting from the chivalry for good reasons, and they're more moral people. They're saying morally, we see these slavery of men as wrong, and that should be looked at as a better quality, but they still see the traditional conservative that would lie, cheat, and kill for his family as somewhat betterly moral.
Well, yeah, like I remember my buddy telling me like he was at some wedding, one of the old, I don't know, I like making fun of my own people, like the names. So one of these greaseball wops said something to him like, when are you getting married? Like, because a man without a family is nothing, or something. He said something like that, like if you don't have a family, you're nothing, or something like along those lines. And I'm like, that doesn't seem right.
Doesn't sound right. Does that sound?
No.
Like I say, it smells. I smell a rat.
Right. You smell a rat. That's one of those things, like you said. Like there's certain things people say you can smell the rat, and that's one of the things.
Yeah, I mean, it's like intuition or something. But I know when something doesn't sound right, but someone's telling me
Yeah.
a lie. And we'll go back to what we were talking about.
Well, and that's what the Christians do too. Like without
Right, without even
Jesus, without Jesus, you're nothing. You're whatever.
that's the book I'm waiting for, a justification, how they justify things. That's my next the next set after I get through these certain things that I'm looking at now, and it's like just how these guys will adjust. You see Joe Buddy do that, and he'll justify why he's doing this.
I have hope for Joe Buddy. I could see him like kind of snapping out of it someday. I don't know. I hope I hope he doesn't get divorced. I hope he doesn't go through that. But
yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I wish him the best. But he's got he's got a little pizzazz in his personality. I could see him snapping out of it eventually.
Yeah. Now even my father, which was just after my mother did what she did, left the marriage, ran off with the bug guy and everything. His philosophy had changed after that too, and she had to go to work after that. I told you that story. And
that
was the greatest day of his life. He called me up. He was like so happy. He's like, he says, I'm going out. And I says, yeah, you go out every week. And he says, guess what? And I said, what? And he goes, I'm not paying for it. Your mom is.
Yeah.
He says, this is the first time in my life. And it was after 40 years of working. It was the first time in his life that something that he had put his foot down, made her go to work. And that changed the dynamics of that traditional thinking.
Yeah.
He had to be responsible now. She had to pay bills now. He says, I got extra money because I made her pay the electric and the gas this month.
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
But that's holding female to responsibility. And that's what we're saying too. At a certain point after you mature, and I think Joe Buddy will get it, like he matures long enough. Maybe it'll be something small, not like my father had to go through. His wife, it was just dishonest, and my mother was, she was what she was. She was a hippie lady, and but, he won't have to go through that. Maybe it'll be something she puts on extra pounds. She stops being all that attractive to him and everything. And then all of a sudden it's like, baby, you got to go to work because this isn't working. You're going to have to be responsible for this family too. And that's what we're saying. That's what MGTOWs are saying. Like, you have to be responsible for your own body, your choice. You have to be responsible to feed yourself, take care of yourself, take care of your children, because I didn't have them. You did.
Yeah.
And I know that's a harsh thing.
That's the reason why women have children, isn't it? They want to eventually get utility out of those children. I mean, I think that's probably the only reason.
Right. They want to eventually get utility from the male children. And,
right. And then it gives them more support in their lives. That's the only reason why they're doing it. They're not doing it out of altruistic reasons of love and all this other nonsense that doesn't exist, and
they don't have that kind of loyalty.
No, it's just they want the children, so it's like a bigger clan for them to gather resources.
Not just by concern, it always whatever concern.
But isn't that the reason why they have children? Is just it's more opportunity for them to gather resources in the future. I think
from the Winninger talks about with the female daughter, as soon as the mother knows that she's getting married and someone's taking care of her, she gets a delight from that.
Right.
That's her happiness. She derives how he put it was she derives happiness from the success of her children.
Yeah, and it's I like my grandmother. I mean, I'm not like I'm a tall guy, whatever, big guy. And I remember my grandmother used to always love seeing me. She used to call me bazzellere, which
what does that mean?
It means it's like a Italian term, but pretty much like a badass, it was like a nice way she said it. Yeah, I have to look it up exactly what it means, but it's she was just like, I was, because I'm tall and I'm I'm a big guy, whatever, big shoulders and so it was almost like she took a lot of pride in my physical appearance. Because I think one of those instinctive things, like, oh, here's the guy that can provide for our family. Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't
Yeah. Well, she's looking at you. Yeah, the alpha is going to provide for us. She's
right. He's gonna
family's going to be okay, and she's
right.
still thinking in that traditional.
Right. She's thinking that
Somehow
she
she'll
into
make
her
our
80s. Into her 80s, she used to say that. Into her
yeah.
80s. Because I was like the tallest, strongest, male out of all, and out of the whole bunch, right? I was like I had like, I don't know, I think 20 first cousins or whatever. And like
Yeah,
I was like her favorite because I was this kind of now, just physically stronger and whatever.
yeah. That provides some happiness for her as well.
Yeah.
She knows that the family extended, the
Right.
pressure is not going to come from your side, at least, probably.
Right. And I never understood why she would always do that. But see, now I get it. So you pick up these things in MGTOW, you pick it up. Like, it took me a little time to figure it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, but the women make out no matter what, because even if they have a child that's maybe has some like issues, like they get sympathy from that too.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's the refrigerator mom with the autism children.
Right.
That's like even if the child ends up to be autistic and everything, there's social programs that she'll benefit from.
Right. They're always benefiting from
Yeah.
it. Yeah, exactly. So
There's no situation where a female doesn't benefit from society.
right.
Can you think of a situation where that if a female lands in this situation, they would call that a crack, where she falls through the crack and she doesn't benefit?
Right.
There is no situation where she doesn't benefit in America, at least.
Right.
But that's traditionalism. That's like, yeah, we have to. But there's a lot of situations where a man will fall and he will continue falling, and no one will catch him, and there's no back support, there's no backdrop, and
No.
and then they will justify it, and that's where the justification comes in.
That's why I do. I don't know if this is correct clinically, but like I do believe there is like these men induce like a heart attack or a stroke or whatever. They bring all the stress upon themselves, so they're looking for a way out of it, and so they would induce you maybe mentally or whatever, like induce a heart attack, so they would die early or something. Yeah, they said, or you just do the obvious, kill themselves, right? Like,
and even that situation, the female benefits from, doesn't she?
Yeah, so that's why you have to get away from the situation entirely and start over. That's what I would do if I was in that situation. I'm fortunate I'm not in that situation.
Yeah, that's the Libby Custer rules. Like, even though the men were dead, the women were the ones that suffer.
Yeah. No, it's amazing how we can see through all this stuff, and it doesn't. And like these other guys, they just like for some reason they just can't seem to.
No.
Like this guy in the chat, he says MGTOW is toxic. I mean, he doesn't even explain himself.
No. Yeah. Well, what part of it is toxic? Well, it's toxic to his beliefs.
Right. He thinks the apex of human civility is having a family. Probably
having a family, right? It's he never thought of the actual. And what we do, like I said, we dissent from the chivalry. We're looking for the truth in the world. We see the truth, and I know the truth is hard to. It's like, and then we start looking at society in general. Does society make sense to extend our? Does this society make sense to where it's going to extend society? No, we're going to have a breakdown here, and you can see it coming.
Yeah,
I mean, there has to be.
Well, it's already here. I mean,
I think even in the mouse experiment or the rat experiment, the ones they seen that this isn't working. The traditional ways inside that box wasn't working, and they. MGTOWs are like that. We see that it's not working, and there has to be more truth. We have to introduce more truth to this. And I like my way. And I think if society was to work in my way, like I explained, getting rid of marriage, getting rid of divorce, getting rid of health and human services, you make your library into your social program. You go down there, type in, keep in touch, and there's books there too you can read while you're there, and you put the it's just a computer digitalized system where you put in what you make, how many kids you have, for the baby moms and everything, and it'll tell you if you're making enough to survive, and they'll send you a check, and that would cost 2/3 less.
Mhm.
There's no reason. I mean, right now, when I read these, I get these papers. I'll show them to you one of these days, sent to me every day about the arguments within Health and Human Services, and there's a lot of people that are trying to write grants and trying to write, and they're always trying to get fathers to be more involved with the family, and it's really, after a while, it gets really kind of obvious that you're forcing fatherhood and you're trying to justify it. And even though they've been doing this for 40 years now, they still haven't come up with that one justification where, like I say, it doesn't smell like a rat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're not going to find it. I mean, you can't. It's
No, you're not going to find it. There's
never
that feeling to it. No, when I say my theory and everything, it has a better feeling to it. Feels like everybody's being treated fairly then.
Yeah.
It has a better feel to it. And I think that's what we're with the intuition in our society. MGTOW's got that intuition that there's a better feel to it when we look at things from our perspective. And that means that in the evolutional psychology thing, it's like evolutionarily, it'll be better for our society if everybody just comes aboard.
Mm-hmm.
We have to get rid of traditionalism. How do we do that? Well, we have to sever it at its neck. And that means get rid of marriage, get rid of divorce, get rid of Health and Human Services, get rid of child support, and then all of our taxes go to take care of people.
Mm-hmm.
And digitalize it because we have the technology to do that. We don't need these big buildings and these people going to work doing
no. Yeah, I was just gonna say the government they're like totally useless, really. I mean,
it's totally useless. It's just a jobs program now, and that goes back to my theory. How do I know that? Because I read Durkheim. I read how social facts work. Fatherhood, marriage is just a social fact, and the social fact will always become it will always become for itself, not for it's that triangle that I talk about where the altruism goes up and it trickles down to the people. It should go straight over to the people.
Yeah.
That group on the top that we talk about, there are the Illuminati there. That group on the top is the ones that are they're doing the lighter than air works and sucking off of all of our altruism.
Right. They're just lounging around all day.
Lounging around, and they made it into a jobs program.
Yeah.
Like you can be a part of that, but that's a no good program. That's the part that's going to break down in our society. Nobody wants to be paying for, your $160,000 a year job and your Mercedes Benz, while on the other end, the baby mamas and the children are going hungry. Because you have to have that because you've made this about you. And that's what they have. The government's made it about them. They're self-preserving. Anytime you have altruism and you have the social facts, what they call them, Durkheim called them social facts. Anytime you have those social facts, they will always become self-involved with themselves, and everything will become about that group instead of what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. It's just I mean, that's why it just takes one person at a time. That's the if you were to say, well, what's the answer? The answer is just for people to develop their critical thinking skills, because once they do, they'll figure it out. They'll figure out the game that's being played on them. And
we have a big responsibility because we seem to be one of the first groups that are we're very progressive, and that in itself bothers the traditional conservatives.
Right.
We out progressive the progressives. Like I said, compared to me, Joe Biden is a conservative.
We're like, even like the Weather Underground. You remember them? They were they're probably a bad example, but like Bernadette Dorn and I can't stand those guys like Bill Ayers, but we're more progressive than them.
We're more progressive.
they call these guys like we're not. No, we're more progressive than them. We're the most progressive. We are the most progressive group out there.
Right. We're the most.
We're not radical. Like we're not radicals or anything.
We're not radical in that.
No, we're above about being above reproach and being people in the community and uniting people and not you don't have to have this diversity training and
we just tell the truth too.
We just tell the truth. We're out to make the community a better place to live. We're not a threat. We're not like a threat like these these other underground people like
what they see as threatening is they think that we're going to we are going to break up their perfect little delusion.
Right.
And they don't want to have that delusion shattered because they're comfortable with it.
We're advocating really. I mean, I don't know if you agree with this, but more responsibility. People need to be more responsible. That like take care of your own communities. When you see some type of things that don't look right in your community, be a man and speak up and say something to that. Like, what are you doing in our town? Like, what do you need? Can I help you with something? Like, what do you find out what's going on there? Like, you handle your own business. You handle your own community. We don't need all these police officers. Like you said, the ratio of police officers in Japan to the United States, like I remember you came up with facts, like that was insane, like the amount of police departments.
We have 42,000 agencies, police agencies.
You don't need all. You don't need all that stuff. It's just ridiculous.
No, the men should just start acting like the men.
Right, men should start acting like men and take more responsibility for their communities it's just. Yeah, I don't know, but that just takes one person at a time to have the courage to do that. But I think the critical thinking I think that's why I don't believe in these public schools. Like I don't believe what they're doing. Like they're just I see it all the time. They don't encourage the critical thinking skills. They discourage it.
A lot of what you're going to learn is subjective, and you have to make your own decision, and that own decision will come down to your personality type, your morality. If you see someone that's short on morality, you have a duty to say something, and that's where you become.
It's funny. Like I almost see ourselves. We're actually more. Like I know these trad cucks. They always talk about personal responsibility, but we're more responsible than them. We're like way right and way left at the same time. But ultimately, we're probably in the middle, right? We're like, I would say I'm in the middle, like in everything. I'm just in the middle.
What I think? I think we're out of their paradigm.
Exactly. We're out of their paradigm. We can go as far right as possible. We can go as far left as possible.
No far left and far right in our paradigm.
Right. I believe in personal responsibility and taking control of your own life but sometimes things don't work out because we're in such a corrupt world.
Right. We have a system.
But I believe in personal responsibility at the end of the day, and that's a very important concept for me. To say I'm going to empower myself, but I also know that this world's corrupt, and people are going to do things that are going to sabotage my goals. Yeah. But I'm not going to let it stop me. I just keep working hard, and so I think ultimately that's what MGTOW advocates is just taking responsibility for your own life. Essentially.
Right, and I do understand that. I'm a big advocate of the social systems that we have. It's like I have a friend, and here's how hypocritical the social system is for men. This guy was a state champion athlete, and he got in a motorcycle accident, and he's been in pain ever since he got in a motorcycle accident. Now he's got 3 baby mamas, and they're always threatening to put him in jail and everything, and he has to work in pain and everything because he shattered both of his legs and stuff. And it was just an accident that happened. I do believe there's people like this, and they won't give him health care.
Wow.
And they exclude him from the health care that they're supposed to be giving because he's not paying his child support because he can't work because he's in pain. Now they want to take his license, and that would further this thing. So the same programs that are supposed to be for men and women to give him health care so he can go back to work, so he can take care of these obligations that he has, is that the system's actually working against him.
Yeah.
And we've seen this with the doctor. Like we've seen the video of the doctor. It's like, okay, they're going to take his license. They're going to put him in jail. And he says, well, I'm not going to be able to work if I'm in jail. So And that hurts the system doubly because, well, you're not going to collect taxes. And then now in my system, it would just take care of everybody equally. And the men that should be getting back to work and the people that do want to work and generate a better society would be able to do that.
Yeah.
The system only thinks about themselves. And one of the reasons they do that is because, well, we know this. There were some whistleblowers up in Michigan that told on the system every time a man gets put in the rears on child support, the government gives that money to Health and Human Services, and they keep that money and they pay themselves with it.
Yeah.
So that's a corrupt system. We have a total corrupt system that we have to get rid of, and it doesn't work for in my system. Everything would work in the MGTOW system. The way the MGTOW system should work is, man, you just go to work and don't worry about a baby mama, and don't worry about if you meet someone to have a kid, the system's going to take care of her.
Yeah.
And there's no worries. Then you just keep doing what you're doing, and in your little part, you just keep doing what you're doing. And it doesn't become the Ouroboros eating itself. And that's what's happening now. The system has become the Ouroboros eating itself. It's become that social fact it's corrupt, and we have to get rid of it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay.
But that's the answer. The answer is just going for men to just go once they go MGTOW, then they'll.
Yeah, you'll understand after a while.
Yeah.
It all works out, and it becomes very obvious after a while. But you have to do the work. Like I said, our friend we started this from. He's looking for answers in realms of magic and realms of bad thinking.
Which, quite honestly, is another fantasy fictional rabbit.
Another fantasy fiction because
magic is. I like that line. You ever see that movie Crossroads?
Yeah.
And you saw Ralph Macchio and so Ralph Macchio, he's a good. You've seen the movie?
I think
okay, yeah, Ralph Macchio. Anyway, this guy, they meet this devil at the crossroads, and he goes, "I don't believe in that stuff anyway," and he goes off and he beats the devil's guitarist. They have like a duel.
Oh yeah.
And I just thought that was a good scene because Macchio just destroys. This guy was like beating everybody at these guitar duels, and he doesn't believe. But you got to piece the movie together. It's so simple, but he doesn't believe in magic. He doesn't believe in the devil, and that's why he was able to defeat the devil because he didn't believe in it. He didn't believe in that fantasy fiction, and he just smoked the guy. And it's just a great movie. It's a great scene, and but that's how people lose in this game because they believe in things like magic and the devil and
it's an alternate reality that
Easter Bunny and all this kind of crap, and that screws them up. I think that really that screws them up. That hinders their ability to reach their potential.
No, they shift to a lot of things. The Western esotericalism drives me nuts, and when you start piecing together little pieces of history that make up a fuller history, it's like no, it's like come on, it's just coincidence. It's not, and there's aliens, and there's what else did he believe that there was an alien race that came down to
the Anunnaki or whatever the fuck
Anunnaki, and they mated with humans, and that's just come on.
That's what they call them reptilian. The reptilian.
Yeah, and they got the reptilians. They work into it and all.
And I mean,
it all.
Did you ever see Epstein Island? How fake it looks. Like it's just so ridiculous. It doesn't even look real. It's like so stupid. I think. Joe Biden's eating like babies, and it's just. It's just crazy. These people are crazy. Yeah, they're lunatics. They're just lunatics.
Yeah, they made up another alternate reality there with the Q thing, and you can see they're very traditional conservative people.
Yeah.
They made up another alternate reality with the Q thing that permitted them to live in that little world where they wanted to live, as long as as long as they can justify that they're right and their small minds are right, and they make up this whole conspiracy world to justify it with.
Right. Like the devil's out to get you.
Oh, the devil's out to get us, yeah. And then
The devil.
the evil elite people are drinking the blood of babies.
Which, well, I don't know. There's a lot of nutrients in blood, so I don't know if they actually drink blood, but I mean, who knows about that? But there might, but I don't know.
I don't think any of it's
yeah, who knows what they're doing with that? But that
it would just be into it. It would be.
But
it would be
but the whole
from a moral sense of
but that's the way you beat them at their game is like like Ralph Macchio says, I don't believe in that stuff anyway, and that's why he was able to win that duel is he didn't let that fake reality enter into his mind. Like he was
right. Yeah, that's a fake.
And he was a 17-year-old in that movie. He plays a 17-year-old guitarist, and I love that movie. That's a great movie. And
you're gonna go.
That's what you got to be in life. You got to be someone who's not going to be intimidated, or you're not going to like fall for their stupid little Illuminati tricks or whatever.
Yeah, it's the same thing as MGTOW too. It's like you want to become a great guitarist, you have to put in 4 hours a day in practice.
Yeah.
And it's no one's going to give you a free, but everybody's looking for this free pass from the devil. It's like going to make my hands work, and
right. I want to sell you makeup and all this other kind of stuff.
Yeah, so that doesn't work that way. It's just
Chris Cantu coaching.
There's life coaching.
Yeah, life coach Greg Adams. Coach Greg Adams.
Greg Adams, yeah.
He's gonna the guy,
Yeah. What is his thing? I can't tell you. He's just go get yourself some girl.
I don't even know. I don't even know what his deal is. I can't listen more than 2 minutes. He does.
Go get some chicken heads. They're
all gonna move to Cambodia and
go get Cambodian girls.
yeah.
There's herds of out there, huh?
Oh man, I remember my friend I used to play cards with. He's got to be in his 70s now, but he said something that was so true. He goes, yeah, he says something like, well, once you're done with the woman, you just want them to go away. I remember him saying that to me, like once you fool around with them or whatever, you just want them to go away. And then, I was like 18 at the time. I remember listening to him. Like I didn't really understand what he meant, but now as I get older, you kind of, you can kind of understand what he meant. And yeah, so, you think you're going to find this N-Walt in Cambodia or whatever. And, it's magical woman or whatever. And, it's,
that's more of the same thing. They're just making up it as they go. They don't want to stay in the confines of observable reality. They just make it up as they go.
Yeah, you have to have the critical thinking. You do a lot of reading, and I think that puts you in a big.
I mean, maybe there's one or two exceptions to the rule that it hinges on, like who's going to move from America to Cambodia.
Yeah, I can never imagine. I mean, I was born here, I'm staying here.
I've got more options here than. If I want to go out to eat, I can go to an Applebee's and McDonald's within a short distance. There's nothing to do. Why would I want to live in Cambodia in a rice field?
Yeah. Why would you want to eat that crap food? And they don't even have. Do they even have indoor plumbing? I mean,
with no indoor plumbing, so you can have.
And all the smart Europeans that I've listened to, and they all love it. They all say America's the best. I mean, they know. And these other countries, they know that we're the.
There's that one thing that you can get in Cambodia for a lower price. What is that?
Massage, probably.
Well, the thing that gives the massage.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you can get a couple of those if you want, but that's the thing you're thinking about.
What are you gonna do the other 23 hours of your day?
What are you gonna do there?
It's like. Yeah, we got a mate here. I mean, I feel bad for RP. He's kind of stuck in Canada, and I know Whiskey lives there too. I know it's probably a great country, but compared to us, I mean, I think everyone's just a step behind. I mean, that's just
Yeah, they
Yeah,
are.
we have the best freedoms. I mean, the fact that we can even own our own guns. I mean, I think that's a great thing. Kind of keeps
Yeah,
things in balance a little bit, at least.
right. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot here to love too, along with a lot here to hate. I mean, we're just doing our part as Americans.
Yeah.
Uh, the American MGTOW just we want a better system is what we want, and we have.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's a very moral thing. When we descend from that traditional conservatives, all we're saying is there is a better way to do this.
Right.
And you guys are wrong, and it's wrong to put men in slavery, and it's wrong to. We want to separate. We want to move on from that, but they want to stay there.
Well, I think we're all overworked too. I think that's a big thing too. It's like these, people feel like they never have enough money, and
Yeah, there's never enough money.
there's never enough money, and that's why they do. You look at these, mobster guys. I watch a lot of their videos, and it's like, don't you have enough money? Like you need more. Like you need more money. It's like, yeah. So it's a bad system. The whole property taxes. We talked about that. Like,
well, yeah, that enforces your need to, a family in America that 2 generations to 3 generations.
yeah.
You own your own houses. Them should be for forever houses.
Right.
Family houses, and the
Right.
government's always trying to take it. And one guy
Yeah.
screws up, and one guy goes into poverty. One guy gets hurt, then they lose everything, and
Right.
then the family has to restart again.
Right.
And that wealth disappears. No,
Right.
in my system, that wealth there's no taxes on houses. There's no.
Right.
You don't do that because it impedes why do we have homelessness? Every American by now should have. There's like 10% houses that aren't even lived in.
Right.
We have homelessness. Are these people crazy?
Well, the banks were doing that too in the housing crisis. They were like,
that's what the banks want. They want this.
They were manipulating the market even then. Like I think they wanted to keep the market. This is like 2010, 2000, maybe 14, 15 or something.
Yeah.
2008, 9. Yeah, around, like they would purposely. They were manipulating the market so they were buying it up themselves cheap. The banks were buying up all the houses cheap for themselves.
Right. Well, yeah, that's because they're giving people like these loans knowing that the corporations were going to get out of that area. And who runs the corporations? This thing's all planned. It was a planned obsolescence for your neighbor. This steel mill's closed down for a reason because they planned this area to go into obsolescence.
Right.
So they could take back all the houses. Then they're going to open up the steel mill again. A company's going to magically, and then everybody will start the system over again.
Right.
That's a very corrupt system. That is the company's store.
Yeah.
And, they just took it to another level now, and that my system ends all that.
That's like I think it was Countrywide or one of those Bank of America one. They foreclosed on one of their big properties.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the CEO or whatever was telling everyone not to foreclose on their houses. Like he's just total hypocrite. They're always pulling that kind of crap. But that's why the media, you don't even really pay. I don't pay attention to.
Right.
The media because they got an agenda and.
Yeah, the media's got an agenda, and it usually follows the company line, and I mean, this is the system that they want, and that's what they call capitalism. I don't think there's no capitalism. I think it's pure structured socialism, and I mean, my system's more capitalistic. Geez.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're going to have to come aboard sooner or later because
it's going to fall apart.
It's either going to be by pain and stress or by acceptance. One of the two. They'll pick pain and stress because that's what they do. But you could just accept the way you accept the common sense of MGTOW, and you start accepting. There's a whole new, brand new way of doing this, and it's not that other MGTOW 1 and 2s that are just the entryists. They're the trad cons that just want to bring back the 50s. We put the girls and make them our slaves. Girls don't make good slaves. I'll tell you.
Who does?
girls, they don't make good slaves at all. Like,
No, they don't have the physical strength. They don't have the work ethic. No, they don't. They're just.
yeah, well, they want them for one purpose. You know what they want?
The uterus is gonna fall out, Joe.
Yeah, their uterus is gonna fall out.
That was a funny one. You had us there for a second. Like you said, there was a female worker you had, and she was doing this job that was difficult, laborious. How do you say it? I can't even say it. I'm getting tired. Laborious job.
A laborious job, yeah.
Yeah, and her uterus fell out while she was doing it. and we all believed you. Like, you really? Your uterus fell out? yeah, but you don't see women doing like that kind of. They don't have the. It's not their fault. That's just the DNA. It's just the way it was intention, right?
Yeah,
it's just nature. It's just nature, and you know, and it's like when I see a female officer, I really cringe.
Yeah, they're disabled.
I have more. Quite honestly, I have more respect for a prostitute, female prostitute, than a female police officer. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, I really do. You're laughing, but it's true.
No, there's more of a social value there, and
I mean, the last police female officer I interacted with, she let me go on a ticket that was like on my cell phone, and I was, driving with a cell phone, and she let me go. And she was really nice to me, and
Oh yeah.
So
I seen a cop driving by the other day and talking on the cell phone. I was like, "Ain't that the shits?"
They just get like these guys I used to play cards with. See, that I learned a lot from these guys. This is like 30 years ago. I started. About 30 years ago, I used to play cards with these guys, and he would teach you like. And this one guy, he was a real street smart guy, and he's like, man, he used to always talk about he didn't like them. He would say like how they just get away. Because it's okay for them to go speed in, and like these are things you don't really hear when you're a teenager, and like at least not my house, I didn't hear about how the cops are all corrupt and all this kind of shit. But he would say things like that, like they're allowed to do whatever they want, and on the road and this and that, and I remember I was with my buddy. It was like 30 miles an hour this one road, and this cop was all of a sudden a car went flying about 50, 60 miles an hour down the road, and the cops pulled him over, and they were all laughing because the guy that was going 60, he was a cop himself.
Yeah.
So they just let him go.
Yeah, I mean that's true. If you want to know where the drugs are coming in, just ask the cop.
Yeah, they know. Yeah, we had a big issue like that in upstate New York with these cops that were shaking down drug dealers, and a couple of them went to jail. They did it a few years ago.
Yeah, they know exactly how it's coming in. I mean, me and my buddy look around our neighborhood all the time, and we can tell you exactly where the houses are where they're selling the drugs. We can tell you exactly where the baby mamas are living. You can tell you exactly where everything, and the cops can't see that. Okay.
Yeah.
But if you want to find where the drugs are coming from, you just ask him. He knows because, he's the drug salesman.
Yeah, they're so. I just give them a lot of respect when they pull me over. I don't cause any problems. It's like
that's part of the reason I don't drive anymore is I got sick of like paying tickets. It's like, I mean, the last ticket I got, he pulled me over. He's like, "Let me see the back of the van." I opened up the back of the van. He's like, "You looked," and I was like, "Yeah, all there is back there is just equipment." He shut the door, and then he's like, he couldn't let me off at that point. He had to make up a fucking reason to give me a ticket.
Yeah. I mean, I look back on the fines I've gotten. It's probably $3,000. That's a lot of money. I mean, shit, over life, over a span of 30 years of driving, still a lot of money. Like it adds up, and yeah, granted, I sped a little bit here and there, but sometimes you just don't pay attention or whatever. But yeah, they got too much power. The system, they got it down. They got it down to a T. Yeah. And they always tweak it. And make adjustments,
Right, tweak and make it adjust in their favor. Yeah.
Like that's why the abortion thing, Roe versus Wade, that was I don't know what that that just gave women so much more power, like right there. I mean,
right. Yeah. There's a few things that happened around that era that if you look, you'll see. The Morale Act was one, and
yeah, what a terrible thing. Like you wouldn't even abortion. Like logically, like the first time you would hear that, as a child, or oh yeah, women can abort their own baby. Like you would think that that's so barbaric, right? But
Yeah. Well, it happens naturally in nature. That's what I say. If the stress goes high enough in a woman, she'll naturally abort the baby.
miscarriage, yeah,
It's a they call it a miscarriage, and that's natural abortion. Uh,
right, right,
that's when she knows that she can't afford to take care of it. She knows, she stresses it. Her body sends out cortisols, and those
yeah,
cortisols interrupt the pregnancy, and there is natural abortion too. So in that way, you have to start looking at it like that. But in paper abortion for males too, this provides a lot of. Most of abortion is 70% of abortion is financial and vanity. Uh, so like in males can't get a paper abortion so they can keep themselves from having heart attacks and stuff like that, but you know that's what makes the system so unfair, because the system, like I said, it starts working in its own for its own self, not for the people that it's actually saying it wants to help out.
yeah,
I mean, scientifically, abortion happens. You can't say, if you're a Christian and you say, "Oh, this would never happen." No, it would happen just about as at the same frequency,
mm-hmm.
because of natural abortion, which they'll disregard. Yeah, you have to go back and read medical journals from the pre-1850s, probably, and even up through they talked about it up through the 1900s, up to about 1960, 1970, when, but yeah, that's what naturally happens. And
Yeah,
the way to cut down, how is the way to cut down on abortion? You'd figure, if you knew exactly what abortion was and you weren't lied to, the way to cut down was to reduce stress, right?
yeah, sure,
And then how do you reduce stress? Well, my system comes in.
right,
You just make the library into a place where people come in and that aren't making enough money and need some help with housing or something, and you type in what you need on the computer. You go to that portal to the government,
right,
and then you tell them, you be honest and truth. That we're saying there's going to have to be some morality and honesty in this thing, and that reduces the stress. So in reducing the stress, you reduce abortions.
yeah, yeah,
And then maybe you could talk about after that is like, okay, if all the females are non-stressed in our society, maybe we could start talking about getting rid of actual surgical abortions.
yeah. It's so barbaric. I think that's the most barbaric thing in our society.
We have to do, but one thing, there's an antecedent to this. One thing has to precede another temporally for it to work.
Yeah,
and you have to get a better understanding of what it is. What are we talking about? What is this thing? What are we talking about here? And most people have no fucking clue. They think it's a religious thing, and that's where they start getting confused. No, it's a very scientific thing. Just look at it scientifically.
I can't think of anything more barbaric. I mean, war is barbaric.
Yeah, that is.
War is barbaric too. There's no need for war. There's no need to have all this money in defense. All this money spent in defense and all this kind of shit.
Yeah, wars are holding us back from evolving.
Yeah, no question.
It's like, my gods of wars. Who do the gods of wars want? The best, and then you send them off to the slaughter. You're sending it's like saying you've got a herd. You're going to take all the best cows out of there, send them off to the slaughter. Then all the beta cows are going to mate. So what are you going to get? You're going to get smaller cows.
Yeah, exactly. You take the best of the best.
Yeah, war depletes the best of us. It doesn't.
Terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's yeah. What are you going to do? It's just. And then what else?
And we wonder why we have an uptick in autism. That all the guys all the millennials look like they're retards now.
Yeah.
And they act that way. Well, yeah, we've been in a constant war for how long now here?
Yeah, they don't have their bone structure is, well, they're eating all fruits and vegetables, but that's another thing. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it's even their diet. I mean,
Yeah, that has something to do with it because they're pushing the veganism and vegan stuff.
there it goes again.
What's that?
The horn.
Yeah, they're doing it on purpose. That horn has to be.
I'm just gonna run. I'm just gonna slap them.
Yeah, monk slap him.
I'm gonna monk slap them.
Just send Hoka on. Hoka will get his camcorder and he'll like dox them all. But yeah, it's a terrible thing, man. This whole division, like you said, the diversity training and trying to divide people, and it's
Yeah. Now I have a moral decision to make about that. I have to go confront him about
yeah.
that.
I would do it during the day probably.
Yeah, and it's like
Because at night people act a little crazy. It's a full moon tonight, or what's going on here? Let's see.
no, it was a partial moon. There was a red ring around the partial moon.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the way it is, man. I don't remember the last time I really got into serious confrontation with people. I don't really want to.
Yeah.
Um,
We're coming up on our 150.
yeah,
I feel like this is about played its way out.
yeah.
What I see for like the future, if we're ever going to get this book written about MGTOW and we're going to get the philosophy down right, we're going to have to put these things together and how they work right. And I'm going to need some help with that. And if anybody wants to, discuss that someday, and I need to start. I'm going to have to put some time together this summer to start putting together an order of it, and I appreciate some help from you guys if that's it's like we can go back on my videos and see where things have worked out right and say this worked out to this to this to this, and like it did earlier, that worked out well, and that was an idea that should be in there, but I'm going to start doing that. I have to, but it's critical thinking is difficult, and no one ever told me I was going to have to be a writer in life.
Yeah.
But that's my invitation to the guys to help out when they see something that idea worked. It's just say that idea worked out, and then put the substructure of the idea, the substrata of the idea in there, and give me if that would be my request to my the people that come around here. So with that, it's always like it is. Without the MGTOWs being MGTOWs, this would be an awful lonely place because not a lot of people get this. And that, with that, you got anything else to say, Joe?
No, I just say, men need to just continue to empower yourself, and that's my message, because that's what MGTOW gives you, is empowerment, and the more you do that, the better life. If you're gonna have a better life, low stress,
have a better life, and it'll start working out better. It'll flow. The flow will come.
Yeah, you just and you gotta figure out what you want out of your life, because it's life's short, and you just you figure out what you want. Not always. When you start considering what other people want from you, like you're really heading in a bad direction. So figure out what you want out of life. Like learn to please yourself really above others, because it's not being selfish when you do that. You're just
No, you're actually going to do better for your community when you do that.
Right.
You're going to be a happier, healthier, more honest person. And someday we're going to talk about that, the flow, and then I'll give the Buddhist idea, and then the philosophical idea of flow in life. When flow, how Nietzsche says flow starts working better, and we'll talk about that someday. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. With that, thanks a lot for coming around, guys. Thanks, Joey, for coming in and making this possible. And thanks for each and every person, even the lurkers. There were a lot of lurkers today, and thanks a lot, lurkers. And most of all, guys, thanks a lot for being MGTOW, MGTOWs.